Hi, I'm Old Norse Specialist Dr. Jackson Crawford. Today on my channel about Norse language and myth, I'm going to talk to you in depth about the famous symbol from a medieval Norse manuscript that's come to be known in modern Icelandic as Ægishjálmur, often in English called the Helm of Awe. Now, the earliest attestation of the term for this helmet, which you're going to hear me pronounce a few different ways, is in the Poetic Edda. Now, in two poems, or in the text surrounding two poems in the Poetic Edda, we have mention of something called the helmet, Hjálmr in Old Norse, of either the god Ægir, that would be Ægishjálmur, or of the frightener, that would be Ølgishjálmur. But by the time that the Poetic Edda is written down, those two vowels have merged, so it can't be 100% precisely said which one is the older form of the name. Personally, in the last few years, I've come to think that it is in fact originally Ægishjálmur, which would have a quite different spelling and pronunciation than you'd be used to hearing, because in modern Icelandic, now those vowels have merged, you've got it as Ægishjálmur with some additional sound changes. To kind of keep this consistent through the video, I'll use that modern Icelandic pronunciation because it's what most people have heard, and I'll say Ægishjálmur. So in the poem Fafnismál, after Sigurd has killed the dragon Fafnir, or well, after he's given the dragon its death blow, but before the dragon has died, the dragon says in stanza 16, and I'll read this with Old Norse pronunciation and then give you my translation. Ǿgishjálmr barek aldasonum meðan ek menjum lok. Ein ramari hugdum allum vera, fanka ek marga mogu. I carried a helmet of the frightener, Ægishjálmur, among men while I laid upon the treasures. I thought myself stronger than all. Not many men met with me, or I did not meet many men. So what is this helmet? It seems to be a physical helmet. It is also mentioned in the poem just before this, although not in the poem itself, in the material around it in the poem, the prose around the poem Regnsmál, as a possession of the serpent Fafnir. It seems to be some kind of actual physical helmet. And yet, today, what is famous under the name Ægishjálmur is not some kind of physical helmet, not something you put on your head, but a symbol that comes from a much later manuscript. So in the manuscript LBS 143 octavo, which is from the Landsbókasafn in Iceland, the National Library. This manuscript is from about the mid-1600s. On page 11R, we find this symbol. And around it, we see the text, and I'll read this in modern Icelandic because the language is getting much closer to modern Icelandic by this point. Ægishjálmur, hann skal gjörast á blý og tryggja í enni sér þá maður á von á óvin sínum að hann mæti honum og muntu hann yfirvinna. Ægishjálmur. It must be made in lead and printed on one's forehead when a man has expectation that he might meet his enemy, and you will overcome him. It switches from third to second person there. So it has something to do with putting this, and it's interesting that the word used is print. This is actually a pretty late post-Reformation word borrowed from German, from drucken. It's supposed to be somehow printed, probably meaning inked, although just possibly imprinted in some way on the forehead to frighten an enemy. This certainly seems to connect it to the etymology that would make it Old Norse Ølgishjálmur, right? Helmet of the frightener. This is the manuscript and form of the symbol that people have come to really know well today. But there are other manuscripts that have a symbol called the Ægishjálmur, some of which are actually older than that I really want to look at with you today after a quick word from my sponsor here. Now, I showed you the manuscript and gave you the text that most people are familiar with on the subject of Ægishjálmur. Magnus Ravnsson, however, points to a contemporary manuscript, one held in Sweden, but written at about the same time and printed famously by Nathan Lindqvist as, in Swedish, en Islandsk svartkonstbok från 1500-talet, an Icelandic dark magic book from the 1500s, where the symbol called Ægishjálmur looks different. I'll show it to you right here. And we see this text. Again, I'll read it with modern Icelandic pronunciation. Að stilla alla reiði, gjör staf í enni þér með sleikifingri þínum á vinstri hendi þér og mæl. Ægishjálm ég ber á millum augna mér. Reiðin renni, stríð stemmi. Verði mér svo hver maður fegin, sem María varð fegin sínum signuðum sinni, þá hún fann hann á sigurhellunni. Í nafni Föður og Sonar og Ande heilags. To quiet or still all wrath or anger, make this staff in your forehead, there's that element again, with your lick finger, that's what they call the pointer finger at this point in the history of Icelandic, with your pointer finger of your left hand, and say, the Ægishjálmur which I carry between my eyes, may anger run, may conflict stop. May every man be as happy with me as Mary was with her blessed son when she found him on the Victory Flat Rock. I don't know what the Victory Flat Rock is. That may not be a perfectly canonical part of the Gospels. In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit. So even if this is an old symbol, as it may or may not be, it is certainly conflated with some Christian notions of magic and dark magic here, as you can see. Now, we have an even earlier manuscript with an even more interesting text. This is AM, that means from the Árni Magnússon collection, 434A, and this is from about 1500, so a good bit earlier. Here we read, well, after some barely even language, Norse, Latin, gobbly, which a lot of these magic spell books are full of, we hear this. All right. You are supposed to wash yourself in water 3 times and read the Pater Noster, the Our Father prayer, in between each one, and say this 3 times. Fjón, þva ek af mér, fjanda minna, rán og reiði ríkra manna, svo að þér glaðlega mér gangi á móti og hlæjandi mig augum líti. Ástrepp ek hendi, lík ek fjesakir, lík ek fjórsakir, lík ek innu mesta manna sakir. Guð líti mig og góðir menn, sjá í hver af mig sæðar augum. Ægishjálm ég ber í millum brúna, þó vó tignar manna, öll sem mér veröld þjón að finnum. I wash off of me the hatred of my enemies, the robbery and anger of powerful men, so that they meet me happily and look upon me laughing, probably not in mocking laughter, but like joyful laughter. I touch love with my hand. I close property disputes. I close killing disputes. I close the greatest disputes of men. May God and good men look upon me. May everyone look upon me with eyes of happiness. I bear the Ægishjálmur between my eyes. There it is once again, between the eyes. And then we have some words that are a little unclear. Something about washing, something again about wealthy or powerful men, and may all the world, probably we're missing a word like be my friends. It's the last 2 lines are have enough missing elements that it's hard to tell exactly what we're supposed to do with them. And then we read, keep water in your joined palms as you say this. So again, we have some joined Christian and pagan elements, but it's striking how often the symbol is associated with putting something between your eyes. Now, before we're told about this, we get some context in this manuscript. We read, Ef þú vilt forðast höfðingja reiði, gakk fyrir sólarróð og mæl við engan mann heimangangandi og heim, og takk grasstað mellafólium heitir, og vekk þér blóð og dögva með grassið allt og rís síðan inn í þér með grassinu kross og gakk svo fyrir herra þinn. If you want to escape the anger of a powerful man, there's that powerful man and anger and conflict element again. Before sunrise, go out and speak with no man, either going from home or back home, and take the plant called milfoil and cut yourself and wet that plant with your blood, and then carve in your forehead. So there we're explicitly told this is a matter of carving your face with that plant a cross, and go so before your Lord. And then we have the symbol right here, much simpler than the Ægishjálmur in the later manuscripts. Although actually a little bit earlier in the same manuscript, we see this symbol, which looks a little bit more like the Ægishjálmur in the later ones, and it says, Ef þú vilt að óvin þinn hræðist þig, þá ber þessa stafi í vinstri hendi þér. If you want your enemy to be afraid of you, carry these staves. These symbols are often called staves in the manuscript, in your left hand. Now, many medieval manuscripts, not just from Iceland, from all over, at least Christendom, have somewhat similar symbols. If you read some very famous late medieval, early modern manuscripts like the Lesser Key of Solomon, you'll see something like this. Here's the seal of Murmur that's supposed to summon a particular demon. Murmur who's supposed to teach you philosophy, right? I mean, these demons always do things that we think of as demonic. I'm not saying that it's the same thing, but there's a common sort of notion circulating around the medieval world that vaguely cross-like symbols may have different powers if you speak the right stuff over them, if you do it with the right materials, if blood is used in the right ways, if you do it in the right moon or something like that. It's not a particularly Icelandic idea. Although this specific symbol and some of the particular elements around it, like the forehead thing, the left hand being somehow involved, always something about making powerful people or enemies afraid of you, it could well be a legitimate older Norse tradition that's being kind of incorporated into this broader Christian European tradition of magic and what at the time was actually often called exorcism. That didn't just mean casting ghosts out. Just to give you an idea of the context this actually comes in, right after this bit about Ægishjálmur in AM 434, we have another magical effect, and I just want to give this to you because it's so strange. And this is one of those manuscripts that nobody really knows about. It's not one of the famous Galdra books of spells. Just to put this in context for you, here's the next thing right after it. If you want to get if you want dice to roll the way you want them to roll, I'll translate this in an elaborate way like that. That's what it means. Take your dice and bury them north of a churchyard for 3 nights, then bury them another 3 nights south of it and another 3 nights east. Now notice, a churchyard is a place of supernatural power, right, in the medieval mind. This doesn't... The fact that it is a Christian place of power is a product of the time. It probably, in a pagan context, and an Islamic context, and a Judaic context, people are always looking for those places of power as places where we're closer to godhood and thus more magical effects might happen. Anyway, then leave them on an altar under the cloth for 3 masses. So again, close to that place of supernatural godly power. And then toss them up in the air with your hand while saying these words. Ég særi þig Thor og Óðinn fyrir Krist in krossfesta, að þið fersýnið á tenninga þessa. I summon you, Thor and Odin, for Christ the crucified, that you look crosswise upon these dice. And a second time throw them up in the air and say, Ég særi þig fyrir Enoch og Heliam. I summon you for Enoch and Elias. These are the two men who went to heaven without dying in the Bible. Genesis 5:24 and 2 Kings 2:11. Other references if you want to look that up. And then the third time, Sær ég þig fyrir Frigg og Freyju, Thor og Óðinn og fyrir Helga mei frú Sanctae Mariae. I summon you for Frigg and Freya, Thor and Odin, and for the Holy Virgin, Lady Saint Mary. Að þú fjölnir falla látir það ég kasta kann. That you, Fjölnir, this is a name of Odin according to Grímnismál, but it means something like spellcaster, the much-knowing one. Let fall what I cast. So here we see once again, and this is extremely characteristic of medieval magic, a kind of unscrupulous mixture of the supernatural forces that we're reaching out to. We've got Enoch and Elias, we've got Jesus and Mary, and we've got Thor, Odin, Frigg, and Freya. This is not exactly Christian, and it's not exactly pagan. It's a matter of people reaching out for whatever supernatural power they can recruit to their cause, and seeking some assistance there, sometimes with very simple stuff like getting dice to roll the way you want, and sometimes with apparently a very big concern for some people then making your enemies afraid of you, as Ægishjálmur is said to do. Well, I hope that has been a somewhat more interesting, more authentic, more comprehensive look at Ægishjálmur than you're likely to find elsewhere. I hope that if you enjoy these videos that you'll check out the 400 or something videos like this elsewhere on this channel. And for now, from the most beautiful place in the world, the San Juan Mountains, Southwest Colorado, I'm wishing you all the best. The whole point of this video channel, the whole point of my books, is to bring good information about these subjects to the people who want it in the places where they're looking for it online. Otherwise, the people who know what they're talking about are all trying to impress each other, talking to each other in the ivory tower, and they're never reaching out to the public. The people who are reaching out to the public on YouTube or wherever else mostly are scared, angry people trying to spread centuries-old, cartoonish racialist theories and crazy mysticism that has nothing to do with our medieval sources. I want to bring good information about our real medieval sources straight to you in the places where you're looking for it, without an agenda, without trying to set myself up as some ivory tower super genius who's better than you. You can help me do that by donating small monthly amounts on my Patreon. And everyone who does that has my everlasting thanks for your incredible generosity and the way that you help me make a university of my favorite place in the world, the Great Rocky Mountain Outdoors. Well, from now, from the middle of beautiful Colorado, let me wish you good thinking, good skepticism, and all the very best.